Hi, I'm Doug Hocking, and I've written the book Mystery of Chaco Canyon, an historical fiction. In the book, besides drawing on history, I draw on the real archaeological mysteries of the Southwest, as well as the world. And I was puzzled to learn that a lot of people didn't know things I thought were common knowledge. One of them was that folks were unfamiliar with the Ark of the Covenant. Uh, so I talk about the real mysteries. I solve some of them that the archaeologists themselves haven't solved yet, and I was ahead of them on some other things. But I also look at things that are usually left out by the archaeologists because they don't fit in with the current theories. Uh, and let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. One of the things that's left out is the Los Lunas Decalogue stone. The Decalogue is the Ten Commandments, and they can be found carved on a rock near Hidden Mountain in New Mexico. Hidden Mountain is about 10 miles from Los Lunas, and about Los Lunas is about 40 miles south of Albuquerque. Hidden Mountain's an odd place. The mountain truly is hidden. You don't see it as you approach. It's hidden by higher mesas and higher ground around it. It's down by the Rio Puerco. And the Decalogue stone is hidden behind that ridge in the picture. Frank Hibben, an archaeologist, made the stone known to the world in the mid 1930s. At that time, the dialect of Hebrew in which it's written was unknown. Hibben had just come from writing about Sandia Cave and Sandia Man, who theoretically lived there about 24,000 years ago. Well, that didn't fit with the notions of the editor of American Anthropologist, who was convinced that Clovis came first, the Clovis culture, about 12,000 years ago, and there were no humans in North America prior to that. And that persisted for years, for more than 50 years, and it's only now coming to be undone as we learn that there were people here 22,000 years ago. We just hadn't seen the evidence yet. Lack of evidence is no evidence at all. And we threw out Hibben's evidence because an ambitious graduate student worked with him and said that his methods were terrible. No sooner had he been trashed by this graduate student and by American anthropologists than Hibben discovered the Decalogue stone. This was the last nail in his coffin. It's sad to say he was embarrassed. And for more than 50 years, no one wanted to hear about Hibben or about Sandia Man. But his theories, at least, Sandia Man, has been rehabilitated. So let's take a look at the Decalogue stone. It's in a dialect of Hebrew unknown at the time, but we have since discovered that it's about right for 600 BC. If you listen to my video on the Lost Ark, you know that Jerusalem was sacked in 587 BC by the Babylonians. Could there be a relationship? Could some of them have escaped to the New World? Oh no, that must be impossible. At the same location, there are also Indian petroglyphs. I like the one in the picture here. Seems to show someone wielding power or doing magic. And it's alongside the Rio Puerco. There's an altar there with the Tetragrammaton, the four-letter name of God in Hebrew. It's written without vowels, and so we know it as Yahweh or Jehovah. This is as sacred to the Israelites as uh, the tablets on which the Ten Commandments were written and put in the Ark of the Covenant, lost in 587 BC, never to be seen again after the sack of Jerusalem, the sack of the temple. But here it is. They built an altar in a secret place alongside the Rio Puerco. Now, puerco is normally translated as filthy. You can see that its root is obviously in the word pork. So pork, pig, filthy, sure. And of course, the Jews didn't eat pork, right? And that's why in the northern New Mexico dialect of Spanish, puerco is an insult, meaning a Jew. So we could translate the name of this river either as the filthy river or as the river of the Jews. Now, why would we see this as the river of the Jews? It's near Acoma, the Sky City. The Sky City was built 1,000 years ago or so, but the mesa that it's on has been occupied much longer, and it's right near the Rio Puerco. The Rio rises in western New Mexico and flows into the Rio Grande. And the Rio Grande, of course, flows into the Gulf of Mexico, way on the other side of Texas. If you followed the Rio Puerco to its headwaters, you'd be near the headwaters of the Rio San Francisco that flows into the Gila, and which is joined by the San Pedro River. The San Pedro, my gosh, that was the route taken by Coronado as he came north, and then he probably followed the Rio San Francisco to Zuni. Interesting. It's also near the headwaters of the Little Colorado River, which flows into the Colorado. So you've got three rivers that come from that area right around Zuni. And that makes this a very likely way for people to travel, a route that they can follow and get water. And does it work if you go downstream on the Rio Grande? Well, it did for someone. Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca walked across the continent from Florida to Sonora in the early 1500s. He didn't exactly do it intentionally. Lost in Florida, he tried to get home and eventually arrived in Sonora near the Gulf of California. The only thing between that and the Pacific Ocean is the Baja California Peninsula. He essentially walked across the continent, only to be discovered by other conquistadors down there in Sonora. Wow. We lose track of where he went after he left the Rio Grande. It could have been the Rio Puerco that he followed to the San Francisco, to the Gila, to the San Pedro, and that could certainly explain why Coronado chose that as his route. He had Indian guides, and they knew the route. So we know that we've got a road here that leads as far as the Gulf of Mexico. But of course, no one could have come from Europe or Africa, from the Mediterranean. That's impossible, right? Nobody made it over here before 1492 when Columbus came. Oh, wait. We've since discovered that those other ridiculous theories, like the Vikings made it, were in fact true. Currently, there's one gentleman claiming that the Chinese made it in 1421 to the California coast, which is currently not accepted. But then again, I've seen Chinese writing on rocks in the Chiricahua Mountains I'll talk about that in another video. And yes, I do speak and write Chinese. To go on from this, well, we have someone working on the idea that an African king, a very wealthy African king, who disappeared with his entire fleet, in fact, made it to Mexico. In fact, made it all the way to Zuni. And you can read about his evidence. But is that trip possible? You couldn't get here from Africa, could you? Well, this is where Thor Heyerdahl stepped in the late 1960s. In 1969, he rode the Ra from Africa almost to the Caribbean. So he tried again the next year in the Ra too, and made it all the way to the Caribbean, showing that it's indeed possible. Oh, but there isn't enough evidence to show that these people actually came here, right? Well, lack of evidence is no evidence at all. We try to disprove theories rather than just say, oh, you don't have enough evidence. So here we are, looking at least a possibility, perhaps remote, but possible. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed these few minutes. I hope you will take a moment to follow my channel on YouTube so you can see my other videos as they come out. I'll be back talking about more elements of the story in Mystery of Chaco Canyon, or you can go straight to reading The Mystery of Chaco Canyon, which you will find on Amazon.com or on my website, DougHawking.com/shop. If you get it there, I promise to sign it. Take care and have a really pleasant day.